Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. It's now 12:45 on Friday, which is very strange because at this time, usually in the car, heading over to the masjid and getting ready to address all of you for Jum'ah, which is one of the most important things in the week for the Muslim community. And of course, we've never had any situation similar to this. At least in our lifetime, we've never had any situation where we needed to not have Jumu'ah. So I felt that this, and the community felt, and our community leaders who have done a tremendous job in guiding us through this situation, and have actually, this board has actually set examples for a lot of other community too, which we don't speak for. But we've had some tremendous leadership from Dr. Nadim Beg, from Sami Kadovic, from others, from Qari Basit, who was involved with talking to many other masajid, so that you have an idea that we're definitely not alone in this, although at this point we are still just speaking for ourselves. But 12:45, 12:50 is a time where we are headed down for Jum'ah, and someone said to me, "You're not having Jum'ah? I've never seen this before in my life." I said, honestly, we also haven't seen Corona in our life. So this is the first time we've really seen a worldwide virus going around. And according to physicians all throughout the world, the only way to handle such a virus or to contain such a virus is not to be gathering socially. In other words, social distancing, which is the practice that we're all supposed to be involved in right now, social distancing. And so that's something that we take into consideration. In terms of the fiqh of this, it's happened many times before in the history that Jum'ah has not been held, which relates to wars, civil wars, earthquakes, things of that nature. It's not something that's completely abnormal or out of the norm regarding Jumu'ah not being held. And in fact, there was a great scholar, Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib. He said that when the Yazid came down to Mecca and there was a raid on Mecca by Yazid, that the adhan was not called in the mosque of the Prophet ﷺ for 3 days in a row. And that he, as a teenager, had to go into the masjid and pretend he was crazy and call the adhan. So just so that it would continue on. One of the things that I notice in these situations is that a lot of people have a lot of things to say, but in fact, why don't you leave these things to the experts? One thing that I can say is about a mentality of how to get through situations like this. And that mentality really revolves around one word, which is simplify. Reduce the situation to the question of what do I have to do? Not what is everyone else doing and what's going to happen. Forget what's going to happen. And that type of question really is almost an Iblisi type of question to put you in a state of fear, all right, and state of panic. But in reality, the only real question that matters is, what do I have to do? All right, what's my responsibility? And the first responsibility we have to take upon ourselves is that we shouldn't underestimate that we ourselves may be carrying a virus and affecting others. So the first responsibility is ourselves. Are we part of a problem or not? So we shouldn't assume that everyone else has it and we don't have it and we're just afraid of what's going to happen. But rather, we should be thinking about perhaps we might have it and we don't want to affect others. So that's the mentality that we should have. And as we know, they're telling us that this thing is 5 days. It could be incubated or it could be within someone for 5 days before symptoms appear. So that's the first thing. The second thing is all of the tips that they're giving. What do we have to lose? A lot of us feel that I don't want to be panicking. I don't want to be, overdoing it, and I don't want to seem like I'm going overboard. And a lot of us fear the image of panicking. That's really what we fear. The image of panicking, the image of I look like I'm overreacting, and I don't want people to say that nothing to happen, and then people to say, "Wow, you looked foolish. You overreacted." Okay. You don't have to worry about that. That's really the image. What people say is also an external. Don't worry about what people might say or may not say. All you have to worry about is, well, what is the right thing for me to do? And in any situation, that's really the mindset and the mentality. In any situation, the only real question is, what is the right thing that I have to do, that I'm obligated to do? And once you simplify your mentality to that, all of a sudden the course of your action is a lot easier. All right. So what we have to do is make sure that we're not part of a problem. And what we have to do is make sure that we're taking these asbab and tying our camel, as the Prophet ﷺ said, taking the asbab, that what the physicians are telling us and what the medical community is telling us. All right, and take your asbab and tie your camel, but as Sammy had said, you don't need to tie it too tight either. So in other words, don't be so nervous. Okay, and unfortunately, Sammy couldn't be with us today, but he also has done a tremendous job in communicating throughout with all the other leaders in the area and making sure that we're on the right track. Don't tie your camel too tight. In other words, tying the camel is 50%, and trusting on Allah is 50%. Okay, and alhamdulillah, the good news is that the worst possible scenarios of this death is not the numbers and statistics are not so high. So that's the optimistic news. Okay, a lot of people may get it, but death is not something that is, or even paralysis or any severe life-altering effects. So we should be optimistic about that. In other news, we still need to move on with certain things, and schools are going online. Likewise, the masjid will communicate with you online. So what this is not a khutbah online, because there's no such thing. There's no such thing as Jum'ah khutbah online. There you either have a proper Jum'ah, right, with everyone there in the masjid, or you don't at all. All right, and in this case, as if it was a hailstorm or some kind of snowstorm. If you had 10 feet of snow, would there be Jummah? No. If you had some kind, well, alhamdulillah, we don't have, but in Syria and these places, they have gunfights and they have wars. Do they have Jummah? No. So this is not something out of the norm. It's something that we, however, will continue to communicate with the community through these types of live streams. The halaqah as well will be on the stream, so we're not going to stop anything. As much as possible, we're going to do everything that we possibly can, and we'll be in constant communication with everyone. Give me a second here while I try to pull up Dr. Baig and get him on the line. I'm sure he has the latest for us.
I first want to thank Dr. Shadi for hosting this in this most unusual of times. I think this is a great opportunity for us to reach out to the community in a way that we ordinarily do not do. Alhamdulillah, of course, this is a most unusual circumstances that we're dealing with, and I just want to reiterate what Dr. Shadi had said. What the board action took yesterday to not hold Jummah today was taken with great consideration and not lightly. It was in my lifetime I've never ever experienced a time when Jummah was not held at the masjid. But alhamdulillah, Allah has given us this tribulation. In the circumstances, we felt obviously it was best to not hold the event for the protection of our community, and that is of course great importance to us, as much as we hold on to the rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I just wanted to also remind and reinforce what Shadi had said about not so much what we can do to protect ourselves from this virus, but what we can do to prevent our brethren from getting this. What our role can be to stop this affliction in our community and beyond. So just from a medical perspective, and that is of course my main trade as a physician, We've all heard this before, but it's always good to remind again about what we can do to practice good hygiene. That is washing our hands for 20 seconds with soap and water, using hand sanitizers whenever they are available, to disinfect our surfaces as much as possible. And of course, this term called social distancing, which, by the very action of us not holding Jummah today, we are exercising that. By the fact that me and Dr. Shadi are not even together in the same room as we talk to you is another measure of that. But so what we can do to minimize the social interactions, at least physically, will also help to not only protect ourselves, but protect our brothers, our sisters, our children, our parents, our grandparents. So this is a good step. This tribulation, of course, has given at times to people that have been in, that obviously have been, may have needed, for some reason or other, we're using as a measure of punishment. But Allah has also bestowed these tribulations and trials upon those He's loved. So I will, of course, like to look at an opportunity for us as a means to, not, stop going to the masjid because the masjid has said so, but use the opportunity to maybe do the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in other ways, doing it at our home, doing it with our children, our wives, doing time to do more dhikr individually as opposed to doing in a group gathering. So use the opportunity that Allah has given to us as a means to connect with Him in a different way. Of course, to remember His beloved Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who of course went through these afflictions in his own time with his own ummah, and he has given us guidance on how to deal with plagues like this. And I think his example, if I can recall the best I can, that one of his hadith he has said, what Solomon said, is that when someone's plagued, do not go with plague, and of course, do not go to a place that has the plague. So this is, of course, we're trying to exercise this relevant hadith in our times. It matters. One more thing I want to say simply before I turn it back to the Shadi is, while we are trying to practice social distancing, please do not forget the ones in need. Most important of all, do not forget our parents. We can at best at least talk to them on a regular basis, use the opportunity that we have in video and FaceTiming. I mean, when I was a kid, if this coronavirus had occurred when we were children, we would not have such opportunities to use FaceTime, video conferencing, and even mechanisms we're using right now to connect. So there are so many ways of connecting beyond simply physical contact that can be beneficial for ourselves and our families and our community. And also, please, let's also not forget the ones who are in need, the needy, the poor, the fuqaha, the elderly. We should also remember our du'as and try to find other ways to connect with them, either by phone or by video conferencing. Because in this trying times, they will need us more than ever. And it's all the masjid will do what it can to help all members of the community, the sick, the frail, the elderly, the children, and whatnot. Alhamdulillah. Dr. Shadi, thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to speak on behalf of the board. Jazakallah khair. Wassalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Thank you very much. So there you have it. That's our summary. And inshallah, the way that forward for you to keep up is, this is the channel. mbic.clips is the name of our channel. You could subscribe for notifications so that you get a notification whenever we start another stream, and we'll be continuing to keep up with the community through that. And as you can see, there's a chat here. You can leave questions on the chat. So you want to put something up on the chat, feel free to do so. Don't be embarrassed. I mean, we probably know each other anyway, as this is a local operation. Furthermore, we will be, again, just to summarize, reduce. It's really a mentality, these types of situations. Reduce it to, what do I have to do? Okay, what's my role and what's my obligation? That gives us something positive to do, as opposed to worrying about, well, what's going to happen? Are we going to have Taraweeh? Why are you worrying about Taraweeh? It's like 45 days away, 50 days away. So it's got a long haul away, and you never know what's going to happen. So, but whatever happens, the real question is, what is my duty in this? So, Jazakumullah khair. And if you have any comments or questions, you know how to reach us. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.